Here we go. So this is our second series. I want you to know that Bond Renter is our sponsor for Around the Water Cooler. They're just listening in today because they're actually going to be sponsoring our next Around the Water Cooler, which will be on June 3rd. They will actually be the moderator during that call. So I just wanted to give a brief introduction of who they are, and you can see their website there as well. So if you have any questions or you want to take a look at what's going on there at the website, there it is for you. As a disclaimer, the coronavirus crisis is a fluid, dynamic situation. Details are changing rapidly and new information is being learned daily. In addition, most of us are in uncharted waters, so best practices are being written in real time. What we are presenting is our best guidance based on what we know today. Each individual company manager will need to make their own decisions based on their property and business needs. Nothing presented today should be considered legal advice or mandates by PAA or any of the presenters. You should check with your own legal advisors and consultants on what is best for your business. Okay. So today on our call, we have Ashley Ketterdine. Ashley Moeller was going to be with us today, but she ran into a property emergency. So I'm sure all of us know exactly what that's like. We have Carissa Just on the call today, Jean Whiteley, Linnea Bongiorni, Rebecca Wake, and Roger Dixon today, and especially Marlon Orlando. So our questions today deal, I believe, with what's on everybody's minds right now. We're talking about pool openings. I mean, Memorial Day is right around the corner. So we want to figure out what's going on. If we know any more information about pool openings, do any of your communities have any type of policies or procedures that they're looking for once the state does go into green? And we will issue a statement from PAA. We also want to talk with you about safety officers, if you've heard of those or if you know what those are, and if they're a required item for the state. And we'll also give a statement from PA about what those are. But we also want to talk about maintenance plans, training that you're doing on site, the common area cleaning, your turn policies, MSDS sheets, and when do you call in a professional. So we'll work this the same way as we did last time. I'll ask some questions to our panelists. They will give us some of the answers of what they've been seeing at their properties. But to start us off today, I'm actually going to turn it over to Marlon to talk about the pool opening guidelines that we have for you and the updates that we have.
Great, thank you, Amy. Hi, everybody. We have tried relentlessly to get specific guidance from the state regarding pool openings. And they have told us that they are working on it, that they would get it to us. They know that Memorial Day weekend is a kind of big weekend for understanding what the guidance is going to be on pools. It obviously doesn't just apply to apartment communities, but pool, swim clubs across the state, private clubs, all community pools, city pools, all of that. So we've yet to get the guidance from the state. So what we do know is that if you are still in a county that is in red, you will not be opening up your pools Memorial Day weekend. If you're in a county that is in yellow, I've not been able to find, and we have not heard that you cannot open your pools, because when you look at the guidance for yellow, it specifically mentions indoor activities, but does not address outdoor pools. It does address things like soccer and basketball for outdoor activities, but does not address outdoor pools. And then green is not an issue right now because nobody is in green. So actually, NAA, and if I can share my screen, Amy, can you relinquish your screen so I can share my screen? Okay, so let me try and share my screen. NAA put out yesterday, I think this is it. Let's see. Put out in a newsletter yesterday some guidance for opening your properties, which was pretty good. And they had, they actually covered a lot of areas, but they specifically did a part on pools. Well, they did fitness centers and swimming pools. So that is a pretty good guidance in terms of generally, if you were going to open your pool, what you should be doing. There's also a link in here. Does that make everybody dizzy when I go that fast and do that? It makes me dizzy. There's a link in here. I think this is from, if I click this, I think this is from the Pool Society or something.
Marlon, I think my screen just has the email up, not yet the link to that yet.
Oh, okay. Do you see the CDC guideline I just put up? Amy, can you see the CDC guideline? No?
I cannot see that.
It says I'm sharing.
But I see an email.
It says I'm sharing.
Did you share your full desktop?
Yeah, I'll stop sharing. And then I'll say share. And I'm going to click. Oh, isn't that weird? It went away. Here we go. All right, I'm going to. Oh, hold on. Okay. Well, you know what? I don't need to share it. I don't know where it is. It was up, I had it up there ready to go, and now I can't find it. So I'm not going to. Don't you love technology? This is fun. Anyway, there was an email that came out yesterday. We will share it with you. We're going to put it up on our website as well, that talked about guidance for opening a lot of your amenities as well as pools. But basically, I think, you know, by now it's a lot of common sense things. It's making sure that you are spacing people out so they're not on top of each other. That may require, did my screen just move or did yours?
Hi, Marlon. I just put it up there for you. We have it on our website, so I pulled it from our website.
Oh, okay. I'm like, did I do that? So these are the CDC guidelines. We will also put up NAA's guidelines from yesterday, specifically about open your amenities. And there's also a link to a National Pool Society that's giving out guidelines on how to open your pools. But again, it's all the things that you would normally think of. You just have to think broader now. So, all right, what are my touch surfaces at a pool? What do I have to disinfect? How often will I disinfect? Okay, we have chairs. How will we work people sharing chairs? Do people require bringing their own towels? Do you have sanitizer available so after somebody gets out of the chair, they have to sanitize it before somebody else uses it? There's some talk about whether or not you're going to open a pool. Do you need to have a safety officer at the pool to make sure everybody's doing social distancing and following the rules? I think we've all seen things on websites where amenities or beach or something's been open and then folks have not been following the rules and it gets out of hand very quickly. So that is a recommendation that, especially if you have larger pool areas, that there's somebody there monitoring and making sure rules are being followed. If you are on the yellow, there's also a guideline or a mandate that you can't have more than 25 people gathering at any one time. So how does that impact if you have a pool that can accommodate more than 25 people? How are you going to manage that? You're going to have pool sign-up times? Are you going to say, okay, everybody on floors 2 and 3 can use the pool on Mondays, 4 and 5 can use the pool on Tuesdays? Or do you avoid the whole mess and wait till green and not open till then? So that's what we know about pools right now. Again, a lot of specific guidelines about and ideas about how to manage the opening of a pool, but we have nothing specific from the state.
Thank you, Marlon.
Questions, comments from the other panelists?
The next question that we're gonna, I think it was a question where a lot of our managers shared feedback because it's a hard question to answer, right? Because we're not really sure because we don't have the necessary steps or precautions that we're supposed to take. So I know it was a hard question for the group. Just as a reminder during this call too, if our attendees have any questions about this call or one question leads to another question,
Amy froze.
Yeah, Amy, you froze. Oh,
And
now
she's gone.
gone. So I think what Amy was saying was there's a Q&A feature with Zoom. Please use the Q&A if you have questions at any point throughout the presentation, and we'll make sure we address them as we go on. There's Amy. You're back.
Marilyn?
Yeah, sorry, I'm not sure what happened. My screen went blank and then I lost everybody, so I'm back. The
Wait,
next question we
I
have
think
is about,
Jean had a question or a comment, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so before we get off this subject of pools, I just wanted to just throw out there that I received an enormous amount of information this morning from AquaSafe, from Bucks County, the CDC. So just this morning, I received a lot of information. AquaSafe did notify me. They are a pool management company that they will be opening our pool on June 20th, providing we're in the yellow. So, yeah, so there's a lot of things that we're going to have to comply with in order to do that. There's going to be a lot of changes. We have to, first of all, have a sign posted outside of the pool as per CDC guidelines that, indicate that they're not allowed entry if they have any of the symptoms. So I'm going to have to quickly get a sign made. And then it talked a little bit about spacing seating where only families can gather. And those seating areas have to be 6 feet apart, obviously. And then I'm going to have to speak with my management company too about whether or not we're going to have lifeguards I have 2 lifeguards at my pool because it's so big. But I don't know if we are going to hire a safety person to monitor disinfecting everything and making sure people are compliant with masks, because it was kind of specific in some of the material I read that we're not allowed to have lifeguards do it. So that's another question that's going to come up. So a little bit more information.
So it sounds like Bucks County made the decision that pools wouldn't open till June 20th, you said?
Well, they just are sending me that in preparation for when we go yellow. But AquaSafe, who is our pool management company, stated that they would be opening and resume, starting the pool season on June 20th.
Okay. Got it. Okay.
So even if we go yellow June 4th, we're not opening our pool until at least the 20th.
Is anybody in yellow, and maybe you can type it in Q&A or in comments, is anybody in yellow that's planning on opening this weekend? And by the way, I dislike all of you immensely who are in yellow. Just wanted you to know that.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
it hasn't really changed much. There's nothing really changed in yellow though. It's just like a status thing. It's just like,
Yeah.
Although I will tell you there were stores open here. There were stores open again. So that was kind of nice. Not all of them, but some of them.
Don't tell me there's any nail salons open. You'll break my heart.
No. I think nail salons and hair salons are green. It has to be green still.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why this is happening.
All right. So in Delaware, we've got a pool opening. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So you talked about safety officer, Jean, for your pool, but let's talk about safety officer. I wanted to do a poll, but I didn't fit it in. So maybe you can just raise your hand or answer in Q&A, but how many of you on the call know about a pandemic safety officer for your properties? Good job, Linnea. I know Jean knows. I know Jean knows now. I know that. So a safety officer, I'm just going to read the definition provided to us. So the primary responsibility of the pandemic safety officer will be to convey, implement, and enforce the social distancing and other requirements of this guidance for the protection of employees, suppliers, and other personnel at the site. we have not gotten much guidance here. I'm actually going to pull Marlon in for this one too. We have not gotten much guidance here, but I can tell you it is site specific, not management company specific. So Marlon, I'll turn the floor over to you.
So yeah, I had this ready to share on my screen as well, and it'll take me time to find it. But so this is mandated if you are doing any in-person business, which so if you have a leasing office where you're going to be doing in-person leasing, then you are required to have a safety officer. Thank you. This is what I was going to pull up. So this is what needs to be posted at any business and in any work office that's being opened up. And then if you go to the bottom, it talks about the requirement for a safety officer, and you have to print the safety officer's name and contact information on there. So it's kind of interesting. We did a call with owners and senior managers last week, and we had 2 folks on as our panelists, and they both highly recommend that you have a safety officer per property, because in essence, an apartment building is a business with customers. So they recommend that you have a safety officer per property, particularly at your larger properties, and then obviously one for the business as well, if you have an office that has people coming and going out of it. So we have not seen a job description yet for a safety officer. One of the folks said that if they write one, they will share it with us. They were working on it now, but this looks like something that, well, I will say this. I think when this requirement was put in place, I think it was really designed towards retail businesses and things like that. But I believe since we are in the business of working with people on a daily basis, this would apply to us as well. And you are probably safer to have a safety officer than not. I don't think there's any required training that is necessary or mandated for the safety officer, although there are some online courses they could take at OSHA, which would be fairly easy and inexpensive to do. I'm actually trying to find out right now which courses are recommended. But if you are outsourcing the cleaning in case of a contamination to an outside company, I wouldn't worry about getting your safety officer trained. But if you're planning on handling that in-house, then you would want your safety officer and other personnel that are going to be doing that cleanup after a COVID suspected contamination training through OSHA. Probably made that really, really more confusing, but that's what we know.
Perfect. Thank you, Marlon. I'm going to switch gears for a second here. Yeah. Go ahead, Jean.
Yes. Question?
Can I just ask Marlon a quick question? Do you happen to know if we are able to designate a current employee as a safety officer, or do we have to hire a brand new person that is specifically designated as a safety officer?
No, that can become part of somebody's responsibilities.
Got it.
And on the owner senior management call, we talked about, is that just, hey, here's something new and fun for you to do? Or, does it become something very official? Is there extra compensation associated with that? And it really is going to depend on how much responsibility you're taking on and how you handle it.
Got it.
I almost think of it like, I know in our office building, we have like the fire marshal, the person that's responsible for making sure everybody's out of the office.
Right.
I almost think of it like that, except with added responsibilities.
Right. Got it. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Is there any other questions about the safety officer? If there are, put them in the Q&A feature and we'll make sure we try to answer those for you. I'm going to switch gears for just a second because in our call yesterday, our practice call with our managers, we went over really quick the PAA website at paahq.com. Can you all see my paahq.com screen? Okay, perfect. So just to let you know, we have this nice big yellow button here for coronavirus PA resources. And if you click on that, it will take you to our resource pages, which have to do with the webinars that we're doing It has to do with webinars and offerings from your colleagues. Some of those have coupons there from some of our suppliers that are members. Where to find your PPE supplies for your staff. We even have a resource for tenants. So if you're getting a lot of questions from tenants, you can refer them there as well. And we also have a button here for if you're still open for business. So that's suppliers that are still open and willing to definitely work with the properties. We also have the forms. So you saw us bring up 2 forms on our webinar today. This is where most of you can look for your forms that are coming out right now that you need to post. We also have links here. So you'll see Marlon talked about the commercial pool guidelines that you can review. She also talked about the CDC guidelines. They're here as well for you. And if you scroll down, you'll see there's government resources, employee management resources, all the way down to the title I like, your own well-being. So we have all of that there for you to review. So we just wanted to make sure you could use that as a resource. Okay, let's get started with some topics. So I'm gonna call on someone first. And our first call is going to go to Ashley, our first question. Hello, Ashley. And make sure you tell people where you're from and what management company you work with, and if your property is A, B, or C. And then just answer the question as easily as possible. So Ashley, have you had to hire a professional company to clean common areas or apartments? And why, if you did you choose to do so?
Sure. So I'm Ashley Kenderdine. I work for Burger Rental Communities in the Philadelphia suburbs, specifically Montgomery County. We have had to hire a professional company to come and clean common areas due to either a presumptive positive case for a resident or a suspected case. We brought in RestoreCore. They were very quick to act, very responsive, and we had to have it at one of both of my properties, excuse me. I manage 2 smaller properties in Montgomery County, and they are C properties. Sorry, I forgot that. The most recent one we had, not only did we have them clean the common areas in the building, but we also had to have them go back out to disinfect the apartment. The resident had vacated, and we wanted to make sure that it wasn't a positive case, but it was suspected. So we wanted to make sure that it was disinfected before our service team went in to turn the apartment over. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you, Ashley. I'm gonna switch over to Rebecca. Rebecca, can you tell us if you used a professional company, and why would you use a professional company rather than doing it in-house?
Hi, I'm Rebecca. I'm with Woodmont Properties. I am in the Lehigh Valley, Woodmont Valley and Lower Macungie. We are an A community. And we have not had to use a professional cleaning service yet. I know that some of our other communities that are either larger or have, like Ashley said, had suspected or confirmed cases have done so. For me at my community, we have 204 apartments, so it's on the smaller side. And maintenance has been wonderful about taking turns, taking rounds. They've been happy to put in overtime, which has been approved if needed. I also have a maintenance tech living on site. So he's taken some overtime to get in there on the weekends. But knock on wood, we haven't had to get anybody professional in there yet. However, we would in that case if we needed to.
That's perfect. Thank you. There is a resource on our website, and it's for how to manage your properties. It's actually RestoreCore and PAA. RestoreCore put it together, but PAA has published it. So if you go to our website, you can see that too, and it has some of those reasons for why you would want to call in a company to take care of the cleaning of whatever, be an apartment or common area. So it has some of those reasons. You can refer to that as well. Any questions about when to call a company, or anyone have, one of those gray areas where you're not sure, please give us a Q&A there, or please type your question in. Linnea, this question's for you. Have you offered any training to your teams for COVID-19? And are you adjusting any training programs when the offices do reopen? You are in a yellow area, so maybe just talk to our group about what that means for you.
No problem. I'm Linnea. I'm with Altera Property Group. I am in the Pittsburgh area at Hines Lofts. So we're an A property. And our company actually started from day one with trainings back in March when this all kind of started. We use Grace Hill trainings, as a company for pretty much every topic, but we also, there is a pandemic training response through Grace Hill, so we started with that. We also have daily calls with all of the managers across the portfolio and upper management. And we touch base every morning at 9 o'clock and go over any kind of new information, any kind of new expectations. The first 6 weeks of this, things were changing almost every day. There was new information coming out, new guidance, new direction. So the managers would have a call at 9 o'clock in the morning, and then we would, in a sense, take that information and have daily calls with our team. A lot of the trainings have become virtual. Zoom has been, a lot of our means of communication. We did have staff, or we do have staff on site at all the properties, maintenance especially. So they would call in as well. We'd have them on the call, the leasing agents and assistant managers on site and working from home, rotating. So that became a training opportunity as well. How do you work from home and still get your job done? So there's been a lot of just off the, situations coming up that you have to just create a training for. And our company has done a great, great job with that. The communication is key, having the call, but also following it up with either expectations, a training guideline, an email, and even just opening up. We opened up some amenity spaces this past Friday. So, and it was training the team. How do we do this? What do we need to do now? What's our new responsibilities? How often are we cleaning these? Because they've been closed. They were, we had them deep cleaned while they were closed, including like walls and everything dusted, all the rafters, the carpets professionally cleaned, everything. That was all done while they were closed, but the maintaining of the cleaning while they're open. So, we use Building Link for reservations, training the team on how to make sure that we're not double booking reservations. What do we do before reservation? What do we do after reservation? So lots and lots of training came with COVID-19 for us. And it really just comes down to communication, setting expectation, and following through.
And I have a question for you. What amenities did you open? And who is responsible to maintain those areas? And I do want you to speak about Building Link too, because you mentioned reservations, and I know that's a big app that everyone's looking into for when they are reopening their spaces. So can you just talk a little bit more about that?
Absolutely, sure. So we opened our community room, but it's only open during office hours. So it's open 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, Saturdays from 10 to 5. The office person that is on site is responsible for opening those that area up when they get in the morning, doing a sanitizing, and it has to be sanitized every time, at least 5 times a day, minimum. And as people come in and go out, and where our office is, we have a full view of the community room, so we know exactly when somebody's in there. So if somebody comes in and then they leave, we go in and sanitize the area. There were, and the training just doesn't come down to training our staff. We have to train our residents too. So when we went into this phase, I sent out a detailed email with mentioning every single amenity space that was opening, that was not opening, and the reasons why, and the expectation of our residents. If you're going to use one of these spaces, this is the occupancy limit. you have clean it prior to using it, clean your area when you're done. Where you have to wear a mask. We do have a mask policy on our property. That goes for vendors, that goes for our team, and that goes for our residents. So it's our team that's responsible for cleaning those, but we also ask the residents to clean it as well. Going on to Building Link. We've used Building Link since day one, and we use it for maintenance request, which is very beneficial right now with only doing emergency maintenance work orders, because we have a tracking system. You can put it on hold. You can email the resident as soon as they put in the work order. Hey, this is, we're only focusing on emergency work orders. This will still be in our queue for when the restrictions get lifted, or this is how you can handle this. If it's something that they can do on their own, if it's light bulbs, we will leave light bulbs outside of your door and let you know, when they're left, that you can replace your light bulb. But also with Building Link, you can enter all of your different amenity spaces. So we have a community room that we did open. We have a dog wash, which that we open, but only by reservation only. So they have to reserve that on Building Link, and they can go in and reserve it, and then we approve it, and it goes into, the Building Link calendar. And we know when we have to have it open for them. We know when, they have a certain time limit, and they are to let us know if they vacate the area prior to their time limit, and we go in and clean it. But we also have cleaning and disinfecting in all of these areas for the residents to do it themselves as well. The other amenity that we opened and utilizing Building Link is the business center. And it's the same thing. You reserve it. You have a certain amount of, you can reserve it for 2-hour increments. Only people allowed in there during your reservation time are your roommates or your, the family that you live with. No outside meetings are permitted, no outside visitors. It's just that person in that apartment or people from that apartment that are permitted in there. We do have video surveillance on these areas. So, we can review video, we can watch on video. It's almost like Big Brother. I hate to say that, but in this kind of situation, if I'm responsible as a safety officer, you better believe that I will enforce this and I will, monitor it. So, did I forget to touch on anything, Amy, that you
no, I think you did a great job. Thank you so much for sharing. It would be great, Linnea, if you could share your resident letter that you sent to everybody too with us, if that's okay. We would love to put it out there as a resource for other managers on the call. Roger, I'm going to switch over to you. And
absolutely, it's on our Instagram page. We shared it on our Instagram as well.
Perfect, thank you. Let me see, we just got a question, so I just want to see. What's the plan to catch up on work orders after restrictions are lifted? Linnea, do you have a plan in place yet?
So it would be the same as any other way the work orders come in or the way that they're addressed. It will be a plan of attack of, we have 3 maintenance workers at my specific location. So, they're going to go through and see what is still pending, and just as it comes in, it gets closed, it gets addressed and gets closed out.
Perfect. Roger, I'm going to switch over to you. It's the same question. What are you doing from a training perspective for your crew now? I know when we talked yesterday, training is ever, you're always constantly training, but any insight for our managers on the call today? We have you on mute, Roger.
Sorry about that. We focused a lot on using Grace Hill as well as using some of the webinars that PAA have offered. And so we've used those to kind of set our staff up for success. We really spent some time walking through the proper use of the PPEs, so we made sure they understood them, the importance of them, and how to use them properly. And so we did those things, and we meet with them on a daily basis. And that really, we hope, reassures them that they can come, they have a specific time they can ask questions. If they have some concerns about something or are unsure, or they encounter something, then they have that time that they can ask about them. We look at any new data sheets have come in, safety data sheets, if we've switched any kind of chemical use or anything like that. But for the most part, it's pretty much what was just covered. Nothing really fantastic or out of the box.
Have you opened any amenity spaces, Roger, just for the crew listening?
We haven't opened any of the amenity spaces, and we just notified our residents today that we were not going to open our pool. So we haven't gotten the feedback yet, but I'm sure there'll be some feedback once I get off this call.
I'm sure. I'm sure. It's just such a big holiday weekend for there to be no pools. I think that's going to be a sore subject for everybody. Thank you, both of you, for that. I'm going to switch over, and Ashley Kennardine and I were having a discussion yesterday about this. So back in the day when you were all training your leasing staffs, it was, you know, off your seat and on your feet, handshake, you know, make somebody feel so warm and ready to lease. And we still want to do that, but how do we do that when things have changed so much and we're not shaking hands anymore? So Ashley, how did you advise your staff to do that?
Well, I first just wanted to say that I appreciate Linnea saying that we are going to have expectations for our residents, because I think that's really important for everyone to understand that, you know, while we're here to help with the changes that we're going to go through, we also need to make sure that our residents are understanding that they are expected to kind of follow these guidelines as well. And I did send out an email to my team yesterday, just kind of bringing it to light that we potentially might be moving over to a yellow phase on June 4th, and to, you know, start really switching your mindset back over to resuming normal operations with certain guidelines. And to, you know, be mindful that while we can't, you know, do our normal handshake and, you know, practicing, I guess, you know, social norm, that we're going to have to make some adjustments. So whether that be like laying tape on the floor to show and, you know, imagine that 6-foot social distancing rule, but also making sure that we communicate with residents, prospects, and vendors that, you know, we will be asking everyone, and we have signs on our doors already that, you know, if you need to come in to wear a mask, and, you know, we are going to encounter those individuals who are not comfortable with wearing masks, and that's totally fine. If, you know, that's their boat, if they want to do that, that's okay. But, you know, one of our fundamentals is we do the right thing. We always do the right thing. So we want to make sure that we are still providing great customer service, and we're not denying any of our services. So just overly communicating with the individual who's not comfortable wearing a mask, that, you know, we can keep all communications over the phone, via email. If it's a tour, we can still do virtual tours, you know, video touring, but just overly communicating that, you know, we still have to make sure that we are following these guidelines that the CDC and the state are giving us, so we can still be open and provide them with the services that we have.
Perfect, thank you. I'm going to switch over to Jean too. I'm going to kind of put Jean on the spot, because Jean has a really large leasing office. She has a very large property.
I do.
Jean, what have you advised your teams to do there?
So, you know, we're still in the yellow phase, so we haven't really had too much conversation yet about, you know, what's to come. I'm sorry, we're in the red phase. We haven't had much conversation about what's to come once we're in the yellow phase. But, you know, we will, you know, of course, practice anything that, you know, is within the guidelines of the management company and the CDC. I did get some guidelines this morning from my regional for when we do open. She shared them with me because I was asking her questions. I think they're planning to roll them out within the next week or two. And then, of course, we'll probably have a meeting on reopening. But, you know, of course, just to touch on what Ashley said, we're gonna, you know, be respectful of the residents, but still making sure that they understand that we have guidelines that we have to follow as well. That's residents and prospects.
Yeah, I love that. I know from my standpoint, are you handling suppliers? This is for anybody on the panel. Are you handling suppliers any differently with your maintenance teams? Booking appointments at certain times. You know, we've all been there when everyone gets their delivery. Anything handling differently from a maintenance perspective on the call today? Anybody can take this one.
I think the one major change that we have had is our flooring install. So if we are getting new floors, our vendor for that has requested that the apartment be open when they arrive, so they can go in, do their thing, and it's very little interaction between us. And I think with like deliveries from like Home Depot or items like that, the delivery drivers have been pretty good with leaving it outside of our office, and you know, they'll knock and they'll say it's UPS, FedEx if they need a name, and then we'll just give it to them through the door.
Yeah. For us, we you know, we have open communication with our vendors as well, and we've set the expectation that if you have an install or delivery or cleaning, anything like that, no more than 2 people can come at a time. So, and if you know, and if it's a cleaner or somebody that has to go into a vacant apartment, there's no occupied apartments that, you know, we're doing any kind of work in, no matter what. But they are not permitted to use the elevator with anybody else. They have to wait until the elevator is vacant for them to use it. And if they're on it and somebody else gets in, we ask that they get off so they're, you know, for the social distancing aspect. And, you know, we just turned yellow. And as we turned yellow, I did have one vendor just randomly show up. And I just told them, you know, we are not taking just random knocks on the door. If you need to see us or talk to us, you know, feel free to give us a call or an email. But unless we call you to come here, we just appreciate for you to, you know, just follow the guidelines of, you know, social distancing, and anything that can be done virtual, we do it virtual. So, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much, we weren't allowing any kind of, at my property, any kind of apartment cleans by any kind of just Mary maids or anything like that in the yellow phase. There was, you know, that was not permitted. But we have allowed that starting this past week. But the resident themselves has to let them into the property and into their apartment. We are not still getting involved with any of that.
That is good information. Thank you. Do we have any questions about how our teams are handling, you know, visitors, residents, suppliers? If you have any questions, that Q&A box is down there for you to add that question to there. We kind of touched on some of these subjects. What I want to touch on right now is turns. So we were talking a little bit about the carpet installers, but I want to ask Carissa, how you're handling turns out there at your property, and has it increased the time frame for new move-ins?
Hi, I'm Carissa. I work for PMC Property in Pittsburgh. Honestly, it hasn't really increased so much for us. We typically stay within a 5-day turn range. The painters are scheduled upon the move out within 2 to 3 days, and then the cleaners come in the following day. Keys are either we open the doors for the painters, and then the cleaners can pick up keys separately with the security guard. But you know, everybody's been asked to wear masks, and we're a little unconventional on this. Our facilities had remained open through the entire time, so increased of, you know, the cleaning staff that we brought into the building and maintenance downtime, they spent their time where they would have been working, you know, typically on a work order, sanitizing doors and things like that. So we've actually been doing really well with our turns. I'm not sure if anybody else has really experienced too much, but.
Does anyone have a waiting period? This is for all panelists. Do you have a waiting period before entering the property from a move out? Does anyone want to talk about any type of waiting period?
Yes, we have one at Berger. We have to wait 48 hours before we go into a vacated unit.
Yeah, we do the same. We wait 48 hours.
Are any of you using an outside company to do turns, or are you all doing them in-house?
We
In-house.
do them in-house.
We use outside companies.
I think if we did a poll, which I didn't have one today, but I think if we did a poll, we'd find it was kind of half and half probably, because some people do contract it out and some people do it in-house. Rebecca, how about you? What are you doing for turns?
We're doing both. So depending if the guys can, they're going into the unit. And if it's something that they can do in-house, they have time to do it, they're trying to do that as much as possible. However, we are still utilizing vendors as well. So it's kind of 50-50. They're doing what they can. And if not, we're using our vendors.
Thank you. Does anyone want to talk about, so I know Linnea touched on a bit about cleaning common areas, but does anyone want to talk about any policies or procedures you have for cleaning common areas currently, whether you're in yellow or in red?
So I can talk a little bit about that. I have a 694 unit property, and that is a lot of doors to common areas. And I have a rotation going. I have 2 housekeepers on staff, and that's basically all they do, is they go around it on a rotation, cleaning the common area doorways, wiping down the doorknobs, the glass on the doors, railings inside the stairway, and when they get finished, they start it over again. So it's just been kind of an ongoing thing. Not too much within our community room and our leasing office, because we don't have a whole lot of activity going on in there. But the common area, of course, in the lobby is also being done several times a day.
So our cleaning expectations haven't changed from red to yellow. We're still doing the same amount of cleans, minimum 5 times a day, and that is the hallway railings, the stair railings, the doors, the elevators, all of those high touch surface areas. Our maintenance staff and even our office staff has rotated through those cleans, and they'll take a building and go through. And but we've noticed this past week, and this is just something you guys might want to think about, that are mostly using your on-site maintenance staff to do these cleans, that our AC calls have dramatically increased because of the weather. Yes, so we are. We contract cleans on the weekends because we only have 1 team member that works on the weekends, and he takes care of trash, and then he starts into cleaning unless there's an emergency work order. But we also have a contract cleaners coming in on the weekends, but we also have them on call for during the week now, because if we have a lot of AC calls or emergency work orders that our team's going to get pulled to, we have them to come in to do the clean if we're not able to fulfill the 5 cleans per day. So, and that's just something new that's happened this on Monday with our community. So just something to think about, to plan towards.
Linnea and Carissa and some of the others that are in yellow, are you having employees complain at all about having to do multiple tasks throughout the day?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm getting a few complaints too.
How are y'all? How are you handling it?
God, Linnea.
Well, I mean, I don't really. We're all in this together, and I have constant communication with my team. I'm splitting my time between working from home and working on site, and for multiple reasons, but one is to keep a pulse on the morale and kind of what's going on, and making sure that, because I mean, this is becoming a new norm for us, but it's also mentally stressful for everybody. So and May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So, all of this kind of, having that as a focus has helped too. We're in it together. If you're overwhelmed or, you know, you need help, that's what I'm here for, to help you fix it, to help you make it better, which is why we were bringing in contract cleaners if we need to during the week. If you can't get it done, we're going to find a way to get it done. So, I mean, it's really just, and, you know, I empathize with them. I get it. It sucks. Yeah, my hands are raw too. You know, well, let's order different kind of gloves that, you know, don't have the powder or this or that. Like, so, you know, just solving their problems and helping them make them feel like they're solving their problems is, you know, really just.
Yeah, I think it's probably good. It's probably it's probably really good to have an open relationship. The better the open relationship is with your teams, probably the better off. They'll come and talk to you. So, you know, Jean or Krista, kind of the same thing going on at your sites, or?
Yeah, I'm finding it's, so I've still been in the office from the beginning, but I started to stagger the staff back in. And at the beginning, it was a little bit rough because everybody's like, well, we're fine working from home, but unfortunately, that's not like our nature for this business, you know. And I'm still having a little bit of issues, you know, they don't want to do face-to-face tours, but also at the end of the day, you have to do what's right for the customer. And that's kind of what, you know, that I've been preaching here. They're still doing really well leasing. We've had somebody come in so we can do virtual tours, which has been nice. But we also started buying lunch for everybody every day to kind of boost the morale a little bit in the office. And they're all like, hey, we'll take advantage of that. But, you know, that's something nice to do, to be like, hey, thank you for, you know, because it's not easy. It's very stressful for all of us right now. Like, I go home and want to cry, just like everybody else does. So, but like Linnea said, we are, you know, we all have to do this together and be supportive for our teams. And that's our jobs.
Yeah.
So
my teams, I think the toughest thing they're dealing with is just the adjusted schedules. So I have my teams on an every other day, 10-hour days. So it's been 2 months since they've had more than one day off in a row. So that's been kind of tough for them. Even though there's not really a weekend anymore, like every day is this day, that day, the next day. But still, I think just the schedule change and just working a long day and then being off and then working a long day, being off. And I also feel disconnected a little bit with them too, because I'm in the office only 2 days a week. So what I did was I created a Facebook Marketplace page. I don't know if anyone's heard of that, but it's kind of like for business. And I have all of my team members on there and we have a lot of fun with it. I use it to post important information, check in, send them some funny memes, and just it's kind of unfiltered, I guess. So it's not really a company thing. So we get to vent, we get to relieve our stress and just have some fun with it. So that's been a positive through this.
That's great feedback. I know when I worked on a new construction property, we used to have, and don't ever tell my bosses this, we used to have like blow off Friday in the afternoon, and we would just kind of relieve, you know, not really, I mean, if a tour came in, we're going to take them, but it was more of a just, how's your week going? What's going on? Those types of things. So it's okay to take a break every now and then.
Absolutely.
Oh, so nothing's changed then, Amy.
Blow off Friday. Thank you, Marlon.
We do a weekly.
Hey, we thought we blocked you from that.
So our team has started, or our whole company has started doing a weekly happy hour at 5 o'clock on Thursday. And everybody in the company is invited. Anybody that has an email address gets on the invite. And even if you don't have an email address, pretty much everybody does. So anyway, everybody's invited. And 5 o'clock on Thursdays, you know, 2 of us host a happy hour. And, you know, it's fun. You know, we chit chat. It's kind of unfiltered. You know, God bless our manager. You know, but it's, you know, it's just fun. It's a good way to just let loose. And, you know, our office hours are till 6, but from 5 to 6 on Thursdays, it's happy hour. And, you know,
That's great. I love that. So we've come to the part of our call when we ask the same two questions every time. So I'm going to go around. This is for everyone on the call, so you'll all answer. Tell us what your answers are. But how is rent collection going, and what's your delinquency look like since our last call, which was at the beginning of May? Roger, I'll kick it off to you first.
Okay. Hey, our rent collection is phenomenal. We're at less than 1% delinquent. So we're just so excited about that.
That's wonderful. I wish I could say the same thing.
Go ahead, Jean, take the floor.
So we are probably about where we were last month. We are doing payment plans. We had some people, but not as many, take advantage of them this month. But I think we're just finding that there are still a lot of people who have not received their benefits from the government yet. Unemployment benefits. Some still haven't received stimulus checks. And those are the excuses that we're getting for people not paying their rent. So I'd say we're probably about between 6 and 7% uncollected right now. Last month we finished the month at about 4%. So I'm really hoping that it's a little better this month. And we still have people who haven't paid since March. So, and there's nothing we can do about it right now. And they know that. They know that we can't do anything about it. So
as a follow-up, Jean, to you, we do have a FYI Friday call tomorrow with Steve Williams, and he's going to be talking about, that's on Friday at 10 a.m. He's going to be talking about the court systems. That might be one you guys want to jump on. It's free and it's at 10 a.m.
I think, didn't he do the A to Z last week?
He did. I
was on that.
Yeah, he's a really great educator. And it's only half an hour on Friday morning. So he'll kind of be talking about what's going to happen after all of this.
Yeah, we're typically a property as large as we are. We're usually under 1% by the end of the month. So this is tough for us because we normally don't have a delinquency this high. Yeah. So it's an adjustment.
Ashley, how about you? How are you guys doing there?
We're actually doing pretty well. We're around the same as where we were this time last month. And last month we finished at a little over 1%. And I still have people who I just have to wait on like returning of their payment agreement documents that are signed. But we should be finishing kind of around where we finished last month. And I think primarily why we're doing so well is I have a large older demographic at my properties. So their income is, mainly based off of Social Security, which is, how they pay their rent. So, there are some people that have gotten on payment plans for this month that did not take advantage of it last month, but not nearly as many as April.
Okay, Rebecca, over to you. How's it going out your way?
Here's my unmute. This month, I'm finding to be better than last month was. For the majority of the residents who needed to take advantage of payment agreements, have at this point submitted them, or if they needed it for April, some are at this point receiving their benefits and unemployment and are able to pay me this month. So I actually haven't had any new hardship requests or payment agreements needed for June that weren't already in place in May, which is good. So even if I don't have all the rents collected yet, at least I know when they're coming and how much to expect moving forward. So I'm definitely optimistic this month opposed to March and April were a little rough.
Good.
Okay, that's over to Linnea. How about you?
Yes. We are at my specific property. We are, I believe, like 99.7% collected for May.
That's great.
We're in the high 90s as well, portfolio wide. So it's, this month has been, we didn't know what we were going to get into for May. I am still concerned about the months coming. There's a lot of national companies laying off a lot of people. So, it's still something that we're focused on, but yeah, we've luckily been
Good.
where we are.
Good. And Carissa, how about you?
In Pittsburgh, we're doing okay. I think we're at about 98%. I think I only posted maybe 2 of like the COVID notice to vacates last month, and we set up a lot of payment arrangements company-wide. For the whole East Coast, we're at 6% as they closed yesterday. So, but like Linnea said, it's worrisome because downtown there's a lot of places that they're not coming back. A lot of them are switching over to just staying home and, you know, giving back the office space, and that's scary because those are the people that rent from us. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how this goes.
Yeah. I think we'll also, you know, in future calls, we'll be covering that as well. You know, what happens now when some commercial spaces are now closing up, what happens now in your market. So I think we can cover some of that in our future calls too. So you'll see on the board, or not the board, you'll see on the screen there, if my sharing screen worked, it's questions for the next round water cooler. So we will send a survey out after this call to those of you on the call for ways we can improve it. And we also ask for the questions that you want to have answered for the next call as well. Also today, I just want you all to know that our Best of Living Awards registration is coming to an end. So you got to get out there and register your properties. The date that to register by would be by June 15th of 2020. You can find information on our homepage. So if you go to paahq.com and go to the homepage, you'll see there's right on the homepage a place where you can go to register for your Best of Living Awards. And it really is a great program and a great training program. Is there any other questions from those on the call today that we haven't answered that you want to throw up there for our panelists right now? I'll give you a minute to think about that. So if there's no other questions that want to happen live today, you can always email your questions to membership@paahq.com. Both myself and Erica work together on a daily basis, except when we have Law Fridays. And just kidding, I'm just kidding.
Not.
I'm just kidding. Anyway, we can both help you with any questions you have. And if we can't get the answers, sometimes we do get stumped, we do send them right over to Marlene. So if you guys have any questions, let us know. But thank you so much for the call. Our next call will be on June 3rd. So we'll be looking forward to your feedback after this call. I want to thank all of our panelists today, and I hope that everyone has a great day.
You too. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye. Stay safe.